Welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News. Fresh outrage has erupted across Nigeria as citizens demand justice for 13-year-old Uchanya Ogbanje years after the acquittal of Andrew Ogbuja, a lecturer at the Benue State Polytechnic who was accused, alongside his son Victor, of raping his niece to death. The renewed calls for accountability follow a report by African digital outlet Zikoko Mag, which reignited public anger over what many see as a failure of Nigeria's justice system to protect minors and ensure justice in cases of sexual violence. Ogbuja was cleared by a Benue State High Court, which ruled that the prosecution failed to prove its case beyond a reasonable doubt. His son, Victor, remains at large. On April 21, 2022, two courts in Benue delivered conflicting judgments that exposed deep cracks in Nigeria's legal process. While the Federal High Court found Felicia Ogbuja, Andrew's wife, and Ochanya's aunt guilty of negligence and sentenced her to 5 months in prison, the State High Court, presided over by Justice Augustine Itioyinman, acquitted Andrew of all charges. Joining us on the show to discuss the calls to bring Ochanya's killers to book is John Ameh, a journalist at Premium Times. Good morning, John. Thanks for joining us today on the morning show.
Morning, John.
Thank you for having me on your show. Yeah, good morning.
John, two issues here. One, the threat of vesico vaginal fistula, VVF, abuse of the girl child, and the implications of this. In the case of Uchanya Ogbanje, she was abused by persons who had elected to look after her. Mr. Andrew Ogbuja, who was freed by the Benue High Court, his son, Victor Ogbuja, who is said to be at large, and then the wife, who was convicted by the Federal High Court, sentenced to 5 months imprisonment for negligence. The people who committed the crime, who caused the problem, one is at large, one was set free, acquitted for lack of evidence to prove beyond a reasonable doubt. So we have that problem with the abuse of the girl child. However, years later, the girl died, I think, 2018. Now we're talking about justice again for Uchanya. What are the issues as you see them with regard to abuse of the girl child, the threat of VVF, and also how this case has been handled in a contradictory manner by the judiciary?
Of the Nigerian people, especially our youth.
Of the Nigerian criminal justice system, an issue that close observers of the judiciary have mentioned time and again. So we look at it from that perspective, that how come a set of issues that are before the court, a particular issue before the court, before two courts, have two outcomes, different outcomes, is shocking. And then for the court, for instance, the State High Court, to acquit and discharge Andrew Ogbuja, only for the Federal High Court to now convict the wife on the same set of issues, is strange. What that only demonstrates is the failure of the government to hold criminals responsible. For 7 good years, Victor Ogbuja has been on the run, and the police claimed not to do anything about it. They claim not to know where he is. Only for Nigerians to dig up information about Victor Ogbuja, who has been on the run, that is living the life somewhere in Lagos. So, what that demonstrates is that in this country, there are people who are above the law, and those who are above the law are people who are powerful, people who have vested interest, and have people in power to protect them, to shield them. Otherwise, the police on a daily basis arrest people on flimsy issues of maybe protests or demanding accountability from government, and then they clamp down on them. But we are talking about a savage, a criminal, a rapist, a pedophile, who has, caused unspeakable trauma, damage to a 13-year-old girl, and he's here roaming the streets freely, and the authorities claim not to know about him, and the police is claiming that, they are saying that they can't find him. It's unacceptable. So it is for Nigerians to sustain the demand for justice for Ochanya until Victor Ogbuja and all those connected with the sordid circumstances that surrounded Ochanya's death are brought to book.
All right. Thank you very much, John. This is a very sad story, and it's been trending with #Justice for Ochanya. This young girl at 13 years old died in 2018. This is 7 years afterwards. I'd like you to share with us what has happened in the last 7 years, because I know there was a massive campaign when this happened. Following the court judgment, it seemed to have rested for a bit, now been reignited, thankfully. But what has happened, concerning her family? I don't know if you've been in contact with Ochanya's family members, and then the Ogbujas themselves. Where is her aunt currently? And the uncle, you say he's living in Lagos. What is he doing currently as we speak?
Well, let me correct the impression. Ochanya, I'm not just speaking, she was my sister.
Yeah.
So it is on that basis that I'm here.
Yes, that's what I'm asking you about.
She was my sister.
That's why I asked you about the family.
So the point now...
I know you're her brother. That's why I asked you about the family.
So let's put... So let's put the issues in proper context so that Nigerians will understand why it is difficult for the authorities to arrest and prosecute Victor Ogbuja. These are not ordinary folks on the street. Now, Mr. Ogbuja is a lecturer at the State Polytechnic, but he also has ties with a serving senator from the state. I'm talking about the Senate minority leader, Senator Abamoro, whom they claim is someone that can help them to evade justice. And for 7 years, Victor has been moving around, and the truth of it is, the first time Mr. Ogbuja was arrested in August 2018, while Ochanya was alive, when the issue came out as to the rape, he was brought to the Chief Magistrate Court in Makurdi, where he was remanded in prison. But he only spent a few days, and he was released before the next adjourned date. And what was the arrangement? Because they claimed to have control over the state criminal justice system in Benue State. They got him out of court even without a sitting. Got him out of remand without a court sitting. Unfortunately, Ochanya passed away before the next adjourned date, and that was when he had to be rearrested. To rearrest him, it took a personal effort from us as a family to rearrest him, because we were in the operations of the police. We led the police to arrest him. It was in the same manner we led the National Agency Against Trafficking in Persons, NAPTIP, to arrest Mrs. Ogbuja before she was arraigned. So all along, it has been family efforts to get the perpetrators of this heinous crime to book. And that has brought us immense trauma and stress, because we have been threatened. We are not safe.
Wow.
I have been on this since 2018. I received threats. On one occasion in 2019, I was in court. I was attacked by a sibling of Mrs. Ogbuja.
All right.
And they come about, they throw the names around that, Senator Abamoro is behind them, and they can do anything, they can get away with it. Though the senator has come out to deny that, he knew nothing about it, and that they should go ahead with it. But inside, witnesses were threatened not to go to court One of my uncles who testified, a major witness in the case, was threatened not to go to court so that the matter would be dismissed.
All right, Mr.
But as
Ameh.
it is now, the point is very clear. The police have a responsibility now to declare Victor Ogbuja wanted and launch a manhunt to get him and make him account for the atrocities he has committed. You cannot let this kind of human being out there on the street to continue to cause harm and damage to children, particularly girls.
Mr. Ameh, just before we go, Dr.
John
Bati has
Ameh.
a question for you.
John Ameh, okay, it's unfortunate that your family member is dead and all of that. But what steps are you taking within the family to seek justice for Uchanya? Because indeed, you can still go to court. Are you going to court? Have you filed, an appeal, which should have been filed initially in the case? What steps are you taking beyond just coming to the media?
Yeah, so this is the point. This is purely a state matter. As a family, we cannot file an appeal. It is the responsibility of the Benue State government to have filed an appeal. We wrote the Benue State government at the time that, look, you need to appeal this matter. We are not satisfied with the outcome of the matter at the State High Court. But they did nothing about it. They said they were not ready to do that. So we, as it is now, we cannot go to court because this is a criminal matter. We cannot go to court to say we are filing a charge or filing a case against them. What we can do now is to urge Nigerians to sustain the pressure
advice from your
until
lawyer?
the Inspector General of Police directs that Victor Ogbuja should be arrested.
Is it the advice from your lawyers that you cannot go to court to see that you have suffered damages on account of this sexual violence matter and the death of your relation? Is that what your lawyer has advised?
From my basic knowledge of the law, of course, I think we can file a case in terms of a civil, damages on the civil side of it.
Okay.
Yeah, we can file. Yeah, sure, we can file for damages because already there is a convict that even went up to the Court of Appeal, and the Court of Appeal upheld the conviction of Mrs. Ogbuja. So we have a ground to file for damages on a civil basis.
I thank you so much, Mr. Ameh, for not
giving up. But another point that has to be made.
Mr. Ameh, thank you so much for not giving up on your activism for your sister. Indeed, we all make that call for justice for Uchanya. And like you've mentioned, hopefully this platform has granted you the opportunity to raise more awareness.